Okay, 8th grade science. Here are the answers to the first half of the task cards. You need to check your answers so that you know how to get these answers, because this is going to be your study guide for the test that we're going to have next week. Okay, so for the first one, number 1, an atom that has gained or lost an electron is called an ion. Number 2, a bond that forms between atoms when they share electrons is called a covalent bond. Covalent bond is sharing electrons. That's for this one, this was multiple choice, that's B. Okay, a covalent bond is sharing electrons. An ionic bond is when they transfer electrons. Number 3, in the formula for carbon dioxide, what is the number 2 called? That little 2 down below right here, that's called a subscript. Okay, if the number is up here, that's called a superscript. A number at the bottom is called a subscript. Number 4, determine the number of atoms in the formula for of each atom in the formula for calcium acetate. Okay, so the formula is CaC2H, can't even see that, H3O2 and a 2. So this is asking you how many calcium atoms, how many carbon atoms, how many hydrogen atoms, and how many oxygen atoms. There is 1 calcium atom. There's no number by calcium, no number below or anything. Okay, carbon atoms. There are 2 carbon atoms right here, but this whole parenthesis, there's 2 of everything in there. So we have to multiply 2 times 2, and there are 4 carbon atoms. And same with hydrogen. We have to do 3 times 2. So there are 6 hydrogen, and then 2 times 2 for oxygen. There are 4 oxygen atoms. So that's what that question was asking. All right. Number 5. An atom is blank when its outer energy level is filled with electrons. It is stable when it is filled with electrons. That's what atoms want to be. They would like to be stable. What is the correct formula for magnesium oxide? This one was a little bit hard. The correct formula for magnesium oxide is MgO. Okay, that is C. Number 7, what kind of chemical bond is formed when electrons are transferred? That's what we were talking about before. That's A, ionic. Ionic is when they are transferred. Up here, covalent is when they are shared. Number 8, explain why electrons can be transferred from atom to atom, but protons cannot. The reason is because the number of protons identifies the atom. Okay, it's what gives the atom its identity. Every calcium atom has the same number of protons, but the electrons can differ. But the protons all have to be the same. If you change the number of protons, then it will change into some other type of element. It wouldn't be a calcium atom anymore. So that's why those can be. Number 9, molecules that do not have oppositely charged ends are called non-polar. Number 10, what type of chemical reaction is this? Mg, plus 2HCl yields MgCl2 plus H2. Okay, what kind of chemical reaction is this? Well, if you see the Mg and the H kind of trade places. Now the magnesium is going to hook with the calcium or the chloride to form this, and the hydrogen is going to be off by itself. So that is called a single displacement, which is letter C right here, a single displacement. All right, let's look at the next one, number 11. Determine the name of the following covalent compound. When you are naming compounds, you have to decide if it is covalent. Oh, this told you it was covalent. If it was covalent or if it is ionic. I don't think this is covalent. I think that is wrong right there. The answer to this is aluminum chloride. Remember that you write the first element and you put "ide" on the end of the second element. All right, number 12. Identify what the 3 is called in the phosphate formula. So that's what I was talking about before when the number is up here. That's called a superscript when it's at the top. Number 13. A blank blank is formed when atoms gain, lose, or share electrons. That is a chemical bond. If you share electrons, then it's going to be covalent. If you transfer electrons, then it's going to be ionic. But both of them are called chemical bonds. Number 14, which of the following has gained an electron? Remember that electrons have negative charge. They're negative. So if you gain a negative, you become negative. So the answer here is A, and it's a negative ion. It seems a little opposite, that when you gain an electron, you become negative, and if you lose an electron, you become positive. But that's because it has a negative charge. Number 15, explain why some elements are stable on their own, why others are more stable in compounds. Okay, it's because what we talked about back at, I think, number 5. If the element has 8 electrons in its outer shell, then it's stable on its own. Okay, but if it doesn't have 8 electrons, then it wants to join with somebody, join with another element, either sharing electrons or transferring electrons, so that it can become more stable. That's why some of them, if this is true, then it's stable on its own, and if this isn't true, then it needs to be in a compound to be more stable. Number 16, what does the following symbol mean? This right here, that means aqueous. And what aqueous means that it can be or is dissolved in water. Okay, number 17, the elements of group 18 called the blank blank rarely combine with other elements. Those are the noble gases. They don't combine with other elements because they're already stable. They're what we're talking about up here. they have 8 electrons in their outer shell, so they don't need to combine with anything. What type of chemical reaction is this? Mg, whoops. I2 plus Br2 yields MgBr2 plus I. I think this is the same as what we talked about before. The magnesium and the bromine are changing places. No, they're not. I did that wrong. Ugh. Let me put this back. Okay. So the iodine and the bromine are changing places. And the iodine is going off by itself, and the bromine is combining with the magnesium. So this is a single replacement again. Okay, this is C, single displacement. And 19, identify the part of the chemical equation below. 2H2 plus O2 yields 2H2O. This part right here, the part that we start with, are called the reactants. What you end with are called the products, but that's not on this one. And number 20, balance the following chemical equation. H2 plus Cl2 yields HCl. So we got to look at this. There are 2 hydrogen, 2 chlorine, but over here on this side, we only have 1 hydrogen and 1 chlorine. So we can put a 2 in front of it right there. And now everything is balanced. So that is the end. Those are the answers to the first set of task cards. You need to check your own answers.